Okay, so Knox has dug up info on Bruce's past, and it's the whole, like, what do you suppose something like this does to a kid? Now, before we get into the flashback sequence and wind this whole thing down, before we talk about this Batman's origin, maybe this is a good place to pause and tell another hero's origin story. The one about sneaking out of the house that I teased in a previous episode.
Oh.
I think, like a lot of kids, I didn't just love Batman. I wanted to be Batman.
That's true.
So before I made those movies that I described in the previous episode, I decided that's exactly what I was going to do. I was going to become Batman. I did not have a great suit. That costume I wore in those first two movies, I didn't own that. We rented that. So I pieced one together. I had like a cheap felt cowl that didn't look that great. I had a cape that my grandma had made me, a t-shirt with the Batman logo on it that I wore over a longer sleeve black shirt. I'm Peter Parker when he wrestles Bonesaw McGraw before he makes the better Spider-Man suit.
Oh, he's ready.
That's what this is. So I had the suit, and I had decided what my moniker was going to be. It didn't feel right to be the Batman. Like, there was already a Batman. That job was taken.
A Batman.
So I decided to call myself Kid Batman.
I love it.
I've heard this. I love it.
And so my next goal was a Batmobile. Kid Batman needs a Kid Batmobile. And I was like 10 or 11. I couldn't drive yet, but I thought if I asked for a Power Wheels Batmobile for Christmas, that would work. Also, we didn't have a Batcave,
You didn't?
I know, weird.
So I jumped down a well just to see what would happen.
So I was gonna keep it in our shed in the backyard so that I could burst through the double doors, go tearing off through the yard and onto the street. Very optimistic about the top speed of Power Wheels. Also, we had a fence. Like, where was I going? I'm on patrol in this very specific area. Don't worry, Mom and Dad.
You could get back out to open the gate.
Yeah,
get back out to
exactly.
Close it.
So, but the thing was, Christmas was a ways off. I would have to make do without it for the time being. I never got one. It's fine. But
It's fine.
I swear.
Could have been in a collision.
But my fantasy was that if I started hitting the streets as Kid Batman, that would inspire other kids to start dressing up as villains and allies and escalation and whatnot. And so I really felt like we might have our own miniature version of this mythology right there in Naperville, Illinois. Thought maybe the Neighborhood Watch would start printing newsletters about me and my exploits, that this would be a big deal. And actually, I had a dream one night where I was out on patrol and Kid Riddler had kidnapped the girl.
Riddler.
Riddler had kidnapped the girl I had a crush on at the time, this girl Heather, and then I swooped in as Kid Batman to save her. But anyway, so before I hit the streets, I didn't bother with training. Who needs it? No, I needed two things. The first was gadgets. The second was hype. So to address
See, like a chalkboard, gadgets, hype.
so
Kid Batman, Manhattan Melody.
So to address the first point, I started building my arsenal. I had the spear gun toy. It looked like the spear gun in the movie, but it just shot these discs. And I was like, well, that's not lethal. So I took nails and hammered nails through the discs. And so, but look, when you shot this thing, it still only went like, it was like it's not going to do any damage. That one was kind of a bust.
Thank God.
And
Thank God.
Oh, you're not going to like the next one. The next idea was to crumble up balls of paper, spray them with hairspray, attach a string to them, and then the idea was you light them on fire, swing them around, let them go. This is not something you want to try for the first time in combat. You need to make sure that shit works. So I had to do a field test. And I was a fan of Burton's Batman. I guess I was ready to straight up murder some fools. So I remember going out in my backyard one afternoon to see how well these like flaming balls of death performed. And, well, like too well. Cause I lit one, let it go. It flew over my fence and into a cluster of evergreen trees in our neighbor's backyard. And at first, nothing happened. And I thought, whoa, wow, that was close. That could have been bad. And then there's a little bit of smoke. And then the smoke turned black.
Oh no!
And was like billowing. And then there are two dogs.
We don't get a new pope.
Their two dogs were out back, and they started freaking out. The dogs start barking. They're losing their minds, and that's when I was like, "Oh fuck!" And I screamed. I just turned around and I screamed, "Mom!" Because she was in the kitchen and she's at the sink. So she looks up, looks out the window, sees the smoke, and then just immediately goes and calls the fire department. So I go running up to my room, which faced the backyard, and I'm like hiding under the window and nervously peeking out to see what the situation is. My main concern is like, please somebody save those dogs. The dogs were fine, everybody. And like, yeah, the fire truck pulls up, and actually like 3 fire trucks pulled up, and a bunch of guys get out, and it's this whole thing. And I'm sitting there going like, my goose is cooked. Like they're gonna, I'm in a lot of trouble.
And wish you just like stuck to your Kid Batman thing and just showed up when they got there. Kid Batman here, guys.
This illustrates how utterly unprepared I was for this endeavor I was planning. That my instinct wasn't to jump the fence and like open the gate and let the dog, and then the dogs run away. On top of everything else, the dogs that would have been fine. I lit your backyard on fire, and also your dogs are gone. I'm sorry.
Why did you destroy my life?
I'm just so sassy. I got a regular Dennis the Menace. I did not get in any trouble. My mom had no idea I was the one who started this. I don't know if the fire department, like, I don't know if they do a lot of investigating when it's just like, well, it was this thing and it's up and now it's gone and that was weird. The contents of the flaming ball of death were flammable. I'm hoping the evidence went up in smoke.
Paper and some strings?
Or maybe they did know. I don't know. Maybe my neighbors did know I'd been up to something and I was to blame. I have no idea if there's a whole other layer to this story that maybe my mom's aware of that I'm not. But anyway.
Wait, does your mom know now?
I really wanted to interview her for this episode to be like, if you don't, just in case, I'd like to tell you something about that afternoon the neighbor's backyard caught on fire.
That time you thought spontaneous combustion was a thing?
But they're on vacation. They're in Mexico, so I couldn't. But so that's the building the arsenal's not going so well. Let's move on to the hype portion. Let's get this urban legend going.
This suburban legend going.
So I remember I printed up these flyers that said, like, have you seen Kid Batman? And I did like a crude little drawing on each one. And then I started putting them on like lampposts and signs all over the neighborhood. Let's get people talking. I haven't even made my first official appearance, but I just want people to be on the lookout. What is all this? What is this Kid Batman?
This would have been before Kid Jimmy Dugan, right?
I was thinking about that because these are not the only 2 instances of me hanging a bunch of signs up around my neighborhood. This is it's a vital part of a lot of shenanigans.
You always need hype,
but it's very close. This is that era. I had my go-to tactics. So
it didn't work either time.
It did not. Like, imagine an adult driving by a sign. Have you seen what is this shit? Just kids are weird.
No, they're all like, it's Chris.
Yeah,
it's the Schrader boy.
I hope Lorraine's doing okay. How's she handling this now?
So
hope they come out with a movie about a normal kid next summer.
Maybe I'll let my son play with him again.
Oh man.
So again, before I've even made my first official appearance as Kid Batman, I decided to reveal my identity to my stepsister, and the way I laid the costume out very dramatically on the floor of my bedroom, and I went in. So what I did is I went into her room, and I was like, sat on the bed and was talking to her, and I was like, so have you heard the rumors?
My heart is breaking.
There's this Kid Batman like running around. And she was like, no. And I'm like, it's a real thing. And once I got it to the point where she believed it, that the kid Batman was running around Naperville, I was like, I've got something to tell you. I'm like, come here. And we just went across the hall, and I opened my door very slowly, very dramatically, to reveal the kid Batman costume. And she laughed.
You know that urban legend you heard about 10 seconds ago? I am that urban legend.
Oh my God.
Chris is the mask that I wear.
Kid Batman's who I really am. So
My face hurts.
she says bullshit. No, it's that you're not doing this. That's not what's happening. I don't believe a word of this. And I was like, it's true. And she's like, well, what do you do? And I'm like, I fight crime. I look for and fight crime. And she's like, but what does that mean? Like, what do you do? What are you stopping? I was like, there's rumors of like a kid Joker. I got to look into that. That's probably what I'm going to do the next time I go out there. And she was like, all right, prove it. I'm like, how? And she's like, when you go out, she's like, are you going out? You're going out tonight? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, wake me up before you go. And like, I want to watch out this window as you go, because this is crazy. And I was like, fine. So she left, and I was like, well, I guess tonight's the night. I guess we're hitting the streets.
You hyped yourself
into
a corner.
So I waited until my parents went to sleep, got all dressed up in my kid Batman attire, tried to wake my stepsister up, and she was like, it was like one of those like half awake, half asleep, sort of like, okay. And I just had a very strong suspicion that by the time I got out of the house, she was not going to be watching. But I had already planned out, okay, so I'm going to hit that street corner that she can see from her window, and I'm going to do this with my cape, and then I'm going to dash off between these houses. And so I tiptoed down to the basement, no sneakers yet, as was my move. Got into the basement, put my shoes on, escaped out that window well. And then I did. I went like walking in front of the window just the way I'd rehearsed in my mind, and I did my cape swoosh, and then I took off between houses. And as I'm like navigating between all the houses, I'm like, I have no idea where I'm going. Oh, God. I don't know what I'm doing. What is a kid Batman to do? And so I was like, well, a lot of Batman stuff starts with him like surveying the area, and then he sees something, and then he goes for it. Prior to this, my friends and I had gotten really good at climbing onto the roof of our elementary school, which was just like a block and a half away from my house. And it was really easy. You jump onto this large generator thing, and then there's a lower part of the roof. You jump onto that, and then once you're on the lower part, you can very easily climb up to the higher part of the roof. None of this is very tall, by the way. My elementary school, it's one story. But so I do that. I walk to my elementary school feeling very un-Batman-like, just casually strolling. And then I jump up onto the roof of my school, and then I just sort of like stand there the way I think Batman would, like right on the edge. And I remember being really upset that there's no wind. My cape's not blowing. It feels a little unimpressive.
Where's the hype? There's no gargoyles on this building.
None to speak of. And I remember that a cop pulled up to the stop sign in front of the school, and he didn't see me, but I nodded at him anyway, like, officer, just kid Batman here. We're both looking for crime. Don't worry, I am on it. And I'm just surveying the area, and you might find this hard to believe, but things looked pretty quiet in Naperville, Illinois.
20 years ago.
And I was like, well, I guess that's that. Until there's more scuttlebutt, until some of these villains start popping up. And so I go to climb down off the roof, and as I'm trying to get back onto the generator, I slipped and I fell on my ankle. I hurt my ankle really bad. I didn't twist it, but it was painful enough that I was sort of limping home. So not Kid Batman's finest hour. Anyway, so, and I wish this was more climactic. I wish there was a big climactic ending, something more dramatic. But that was it. That was the first and last time Naperville caught a glimpse of the mysterious Kid Batman. And I think it was at that point that it was sort of like, not long after, thinking it might be safer to just make movies about this instead. That might be an easier way to dress up as Batman.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Especially since what you did wasn't particularly dangerous. It was still safer to make the movie.
Oh my god.
You didn't go into like gang territory or anything. You were on top of a one-story building.
That would have been adorable.
Oh, you're right, Kid Batman. We should stop being in a gang.
You decide to get a Robin, but like Robin has to be much younger than you. It's like a toddler.
I'm holding a baby.
Oh my god. It's like all the like embarrassment I felt as a child for all the like little things that I was like, I'm doing this now. But yours is like,
Oh God, I forgot the most
11.
embarrassing part. Jesus. So when I
Oh no!
okay, it's 12. Oh, God.
After I get off the roof and I decide to like limp home, like that's the end of that. I got to that same intersection, the same stop, 4-way stop that the cop had pulled up to, and a car pulls up as I'm like walking across the street, and through the windshield, I heard the driver of the car go, "What the fuck?"
Citizen.
And I was like, right, between the houses. We gotta hide. We gotta shadows. The shadows are our friends. Yes. This is whoops.
Now I'm picturing Batman at like an intersection, like hitting the button to make it turn to like the walk. Just waiting there.
Tapping his toe.
Oh God. Okay, so
That's amazing.
Oh, Kid Batman.
You should make that movie.
I think we're good.
It could be adorable.
I'd watch it.
Yeah.
Fuck.
I'd watch Kid Batman the movie.
I think I definitely would too.
Yeah.
So that's the origin and finale of Kid Batman. And finale of Kid Batman. And finale of Kid